www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
I agree with Joel Skousen that we're not going to see the new cashless world currency next month or next year. The point is they're moving into these SDRs. They're getting the governments under one authority. The European Union is collapsing more of the sovereignty of the nations into its own system, and they admit it's undemocratic. But the Greeks, boy, it's confusing what's going on over there. First, they're going to have a referendum, then they aren't, then they are, then they aren't, now they are. They're talking about firing their military. Joel, just briefly from your research, what's going on in Greece right now?
Well, Prime Minister Papandreou is the son of the former communist Greek Prime Minister Papandreou, but he still has to play to the left. But he is a globalist, and he was in a political pincer, because of the globalists wanting no referendum and his own coalition saying, look, we've got to take the heat off of us or we're going to lose this election. And so they wanted the referendum, in essence, to put the blame on the people, so that when they rejected the Greek thing, it would be the people. But the breaking news was just this last hour while we were talking, Papandreou finally acceded to the globalist demands and called off the referendum, and that looks permanent now.
Unbelievable. What do you think about this new, quote, economic union where the countries are, quote, never allowed to leave? I mean, that's financial dictatorship.
Yeah, that's the new Soviet version of the European Union, of which, the Socialist International, which is a Moscow front, has been, and is very much a part of the European Union, has been pushing for this Sovietized version, whereby, we can't let people run off and just leave their obligations and leave us standing. And this will happen, of course, if they get an EU-wide bonding system whereby all the nations are on the hook for these bonds, and that's what they're trying to do. Once again, they use the deeper the crisis. People like Zero Hedge keep saying the European Union is about to fall apart. The Eurosceptics in Britain, who are having a heyday right now watching this crisis.
No, they're only using this to get more power. They always, like the banker bailout here, it's all staged. They admit it is.
Exactly. And that's exactly what's happening. The EU G20 meeting going on right now, there's a lot of arms being twisted. They're looking at Greece, and that's, I think there were some behind-the-scenes stuff going on at the G20 meeting that turned Papandreou around, but we're going to see Greece stay in there. We're going to see, and they've got to do this to save Italy. Italy is very nearing the basket case that Greece is in, and it's 5 times larger than Greece. This is a major problem, so they don't want a domino effect going on. And right now, I think they're moving towards convincing a lot more Eurosceptics to join and giving the EU much greater power to control finances.
Joel, we've got Webster Tarpley coming up, who's been in Libya. We're going to get his take on what happened in Libya. We're going to get his take on the economy and more. We're doing a 27-hour transmission here. But if you can, when we go to break, I want to hold you just 2 or 3 minutes on the other side and get your view on election 2012, the different candidates.
Yes, I've got a good information on that.
We got about a minute and a half now. Go ahead and start.
Well, it's been amazing to see the manipulation of the Republican nomination process. It's even worse than 2008 when Rudolph Giuliani, a cross-dressing, non-conservative person, was tried to foist it on the people. He wasn't hacking the polls, even though they were claiming he had 30% support. They pulled him out of the first 2 primaries so that they wouldn't document his low rating, and resurrected John McCain with 6 newspaper endorsements. Now the problem is that Romney got a head start in 2008. They brought out Huckabee to kill Romney's chances with the fundamentalist Christians. Huckabee wasn't in for it this time, and so they brought in Herman Cain to do that, to pull off the Christian vote and to bring up the Mormon versus evangelical arguments all over again. They tried to resurrect Rick Perry, who's a globalist masquerading as a conservative. And all of these things are failing. So what they're faced now, especially with Herman Cain going into a nosedive over his Anita Hill problems, like Clarence Thomas. And so now they're having to control Romney. It looks like they're going to be able to do that, and I can cover that after the break.
Yeah, let's break down your view on that, and then we'll get Webster Tarpley up right after that. Stay with us. We'll be right back. InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com. Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs Generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs Generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs Generator. Very easy to follow step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs Generator. That's www.silverlungs.com. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As they're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at InfoWars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Alex Jones here with vital information concerning our nation's fragile food supply. Folks, there are some truly dangerous trends forming, and I think it's important for my listeners to do three things right away. Number one, study the past. History really does repeat itself. Number two, learn to spot the dangerous food shortage trends. Number three, take decisive action. A perfect storm is brewing for a global food crisis. That's why I'm telling everyone to read the new book, Rising Prices, Empty Shelves. Warning signs that trigger the deadliest famines in history. Don't get caught unprepared when the crisis hits. This book is only available at risingpricesemptyshelves.com. You'll also get a free copy of Supermarket Survival, How to Cut Your Grocery Bills in Half. Again, that website is risingpricesemptyshelves.com. That's risingpricesemptyshelves.com.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, I always enjoy talking to Joel Skousen. Webster Tarpley's coming up here in about 5 minutes. So much is happening. I mean, this is an incredible time we're living through. World governments being unveiled publicly. The Vatican's calling for the Bank of the World, global currency. The point is, all those people that called us kooks and things, who's laughing now? And just like I told you 2.5 weeks ago, I said, the word is I've got within 2 weeks, and then out from that point, there could be an attack. Briefly, before we get back into politics, because I know you spoke to this, but specifically with any of your sources, I know you have a lot of them, Joel. I've been told any time from 3 or 4 days ago up until the middle of December, that's the window to strike because the U.S. troops have to leave in December. That's what I've been told by the military sources, multiple, just what you said. They're also looking at Kuwait as a command base to launch U.S. attacks, aircraft, including helicopters flying around over the ocean, shooting up their patrol boats. And what's the time frame on a Israeli then backed up by a U.S. strike on Iran?
Well, my military sources indicate that indeed they are transferring assets right now to Kuwait, and there's a steady stream of shipments going into Israel. That means they're beefing up their supplies of military hardware for this attack. I can't say, and I don't know of any of my military sources know that when the date's coming, because I think it's still in flux. They're still trying to wait for a political justification or a public propaganda justification. Short of that, though, it's going to happen before January.
Yeah. Why do you think, when the U.S. is forced to leave Iraq, why do you think they're doing an emergency EAS takeover drill for the first time in history? Because I work in radio. This is the first time where the government takes over the radio and TV. That system's been in place since '96. The overall system since the '50s, part of obviously nuclear attack civil defense system. But now they're even talking about cell phones in the future will be taken over by the government. Telescreens everywhere. But November 9th, they're doing a FEMA, FCC, martial law takeover drill. And I've learned they're also going to have nationwide TSA checkpoints on the same day. This is clearly an internal defense martial law drill, Joel. Well, I would be careful not to make too much of this one coming November 9th. They're not going to do that much that quick. I think what they're doing, the major change is they're intervening in daytime, in the afternoon, which is going to impact television. They're going to get up front and noticed by people, but they won't take it to any extremes. I think this is an incremental step up of just what you're talking about, but it's not going to happen this time. It's going to get in your face. People are getting used to the inconvenience, but it's further down the line when this other stuff gets really big. But you're right. This is the track that they're heading on. But let's not make too much out of the ninth one. I think will disappoint people like Y2K. No, I agree with you. They're beta testing it, just like they're now going to have PSAs on hotel TV saying, look for terrorists. Right. It's just all part of this Stasi society that, I mean, if Americans, Joel, could see this, get in a time machine from 50 years ago and come to this time, what would they think? I mean, this is classic authoritarianism being set up. They'd be in rebellion if they saw it now, but gradually they get to accept it. That's the only reason that it can explain why the TSA continues to needle people at the airports, which violates their basic principle, but don't bother people lest they rebel against you. But they're determined to get people used to this kind of needling, used to this kind of interference. And that's why we're going to get more of it on television. But it's going to be incremental. And if they get too much resistance, they'll back off a little bit, just like TSA always pretends to back off, like they did when they said they won't going to shake down children anymore. And then they went back to it again. That's right. It's all military tactics. And people say, well, at least America's America. We're run by global banks, folks. So, again, people either say Russia's good or we're bad, or we're good, Russia's bad. No, it's all crook run, as Joel's pointed out. It's just different factions of crooks, but they all use the same systems, all use the latest developments in manipulation. Now, in 2 minutes, Joel, you were breaking down your view of how they are playing the candidates off against each other to suppress Ron Paul. Finish up your point about Mitt Romney. Well, the point is that Mitt Romney have tried for years, anybody but Mitt Romney, but he's continued to stay there despite bringing up, John Huntsman, Chris Christie, Herman Cain. He's outlasted them all. And what that does, it puts Ron Paul in second place. They don't want him in second place. They don't want to have a convention battle with Ron Paul. They still have enough time to bring out another candidate, may try to resurrect Huntsman again. But ultimately, they are preparing big time to control him. Romney is not a globalist. He's trying, bending over backwards to be one, but because he hasn't bought into the system in terms of compromise and moral indiscretions with his wife, things they can use to twist arms, they are afraid that he's going to see something in the White House, and he's smart. He may well see it, and they may have to control him like they did Ronald Reagan with an assassination attempt. So they've surrounded him with globalist advisors, with neocons. Michael Chertoff, of all people, he's the Darth Vader of the TSA crowd. I mean, how could a man be that stupid to take on Michael Chertoff as a major advisor? Well, look at Herman Cain, the former head of the Federal Reserve in Kansas City. You've got Herman Cain trying to introduce new taxing systems on top of the income tax. And then you've got